I am going to put books like the Communist Manifesto in front of my children and be like, I want you to read things I vehemently disagree with. I want you to read Mein Kampf. I want you to read all of these books right now. I want you to read them first. I want you to be able to discern this is what you believe, this is not what you believe, but I want you to hear both sides of whatever something is.
So Gavin Newsom, pull up this article, Malik. So he's panicking that his son listens to people like Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, and Joe Rogan. There he is right there. So the governor,
micro cults. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. He calls them micro cults. So the governor of California, who knows what happens with Joe Biden, might be the Democratic candidate for president. By the way, I was at the RNC last night. Vivek crushed it. DeSantis. Nikki's doing her thing. I don't know why Chris Christie and Tim Scott are still in the race, but obviously there's a guy called Trump that you guys might have heard of.
Yes.
But on the Democratic side of things, he's probably going to be the next in line if it's not Biden. So he had some pretty poignant things to say about people that I've interviewed. All three of these guys, or been with all three of these guys. Tate multiple times, Jordan Peterson multiple times. We were just in Austin with Rogan. PBD did a show. So I would say that these guys are some of the biggest studs on the planet, okay? So you might disagree with stuff, you might disagree with some other stuff, all good. But here's what Gavin Newsom had to say. I really worry about this disinformation about what's happening with our country, but what I really worry about are these micro cults that my kids are in. That's the best way to describe it. My son is asking me about Tate, Jordan Peterson, and Rogan, and I'm like, oh, there it is. That's the pathway, these micro cults. So when you hear something like this, so you're a father to a daughter, but if you did have a son, would you be okay with your son listening to those types of guys? And if not, who would you want them listening to?
Okay, so Rogan, I'd be totally okay with. Peterson, I got my own opinions about Peterson. I got my own opinions about Tate as well. But it's the thing is like none of the personalities that he's talking about are in any way associated with the Manosphere. They're like when you like in fact, if anything, they dissociate themselves. Even Andrew Tate is saying he's not red pill anymore. So you've got Jordan Peterson, who hates my guts, by the way, as well as his daughter. So there's no way. There's no way he's part of the Manosphere.
I'm not even saying so much Manosphere.
I know that Rogan is never going to want to have that affiliation with the Manosphere, and it's like he's not even a part of that. So the very fact that he's even bringing this up means he knows nothing about what he's talking about.
You're talking about Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom. So most likely what's happening is it's his PR people or his handlers in some way. They want to make an issue of this now.
And
this is going to be something that's going to happen
in the world that talk about masculinity.
Are they micro cults? Are they micro cults?
Yeah, but
maybe they're full-blown cults.
So we have two issues here. The first issue is Gavin Newsom is a politician, and he is talking about 3 content creators who the entirety of their audience would never vote for Gavin Newsom. That's part of that. That's the initial part of the fear, okay? And so that's the first issue. The second issue was I am going to put books like the Communist Manifesto in front of my children and be like, I want you to read things I vehemently disagree with. I want you to read Mein Kampf. I want you to read all of these books right now. I want you to read them first. I want you to be able to discern this is what you believe, this is not what you believe, but I want you to hear both sides of whatever something is. And the idea that I have 2 of my really good friends who are socialists, and I listen to their podcast every week. And I message them all the time. I was like, hey, man, thank you for saying what you said. It made me think about things in a more open-minded way. This, again, of all people, it was Destiny who said this. He goes on, Graham Stephan show, and he goes, one of the things that I have to admit is that Republicans or the people in the conservatives will debate anyone, anytime, anywhere, and the people on my side of the aisle won't debate any of them, and all they do is just, it was Richard Reeves who came on our show, and he goes, the reason why Andrew Tate became so popular is because he had a message to a group of people that were not being heard. And it was academics who were specifically deciding this is beneath us. Men being a victim of anything? Oh, I mean, yes, men are 9 times more likely to commit suicide after their divorce. But fuck them. Who cares? Clearly, there's this massive group of individuals who are just totally being ignored. And academia could never even consider the idea of a man being a victim of anything. And so that because this whole thing was ignored by academia, that what happened was content creators outside of academia were able to come into that space and have those conversations.
You're always going to fill the vacuum when there's a void there. And there was clearly a void. By the way, here's some of the stats on guys, and then I want to get the girl's opinion. So there's, Rolo, I mean, I got to give you credit. You've been talking about this for years. The trend of this male decline and why it's a problem for women as well. So American colleges, they used to, I think 30 years ago, it was 60% male, 40% female. Now it's the exact reverse. 60% female.
And remember,
in
that's
college.
enrollment, not graduation.
Yeah,
Graduation is even worse.
40% male. Now, what is in terms of graduation?
Well, it depends on the degrees. So if you're talking about bachelor's degrees or like higher degrees, but like at master's and doctorates, women are far out.
They're crushing.
Graduating men.
63% of young men are single. Professor Galloway talks about the decline in close friends with men. This is as of 2022. 27% of men have 6 or more close friends. If you extrapolate that and go back to the 90s, it was 55% of men. So men have basically cut their close friendships in half. Thank God I'm friends with you guys, by the way. Okay, and you.
I think one of the reasons for that metric is that they're using a female metric for that. They still to this day think that men make friends like women make friends.
Oh,
That's
really?
why.
Well, 15% of men apparently have 0 close friendships, which is super weird, right?
Yeah, but that means 85% of guys still do.
Well, good. Thank God. So they also talk about you talked about the more likely to commit suicide after a divorce, Mike, 9 times, I believe you said.
Yeah. I mean, I got that from Rollo.
Yeah,
it was
8 times more likely.
8 times more likely to commit suicide once they've been zeroed out and been divorced.
And anywhere between 3.5 to 5 times more likely just in general.
And 80% of violent crimes are committed by men, but 90% are committed by men. 80% of the victims of violent crime are men.
As well.
I mean, so it's one of these situations where it's like, yes, it's problematic, but there's a reason. We had a discussion last night with a girl. She was like, isn't it 49% women to men in the population? The answer is yes, because men die sooner and die more often. Now,
male on male.
Yeah, so that's the reason why.
So the article basically summarizes the fact that it looks like there's an epidemic of male anger, which you talked about, but at the end of the day, it says that it comes down to loneliness, sadness, and they're hungry for connection. Sterling, you talk about this type of stuff from time to time. Men sitting at home, just fapping all day, not out there interacting. They're sad, they're lonely, they can't get women, they have no friends. What's your cure to this nonsense that's going on with young men?
Get around like-minded guys for a start, because guys are stronger when they're together with other people. Tribal, right? That's how we're meant to be. Like that's the reason. We're not meant to be isolated, like atomized units like that. We're supposed to be part of a family, part of a community, part of a tribe, right? And it takes away the need for sedation. Guys go towards things like pornography, drugs, alcohol, video games, and mindless scrolling on TikTok because they just want to sedate themselves from their misery and their boredom and the dullness of their life because they've got nothing that's driving them. But when you're around a community of brothers, like you probably will experience in the army, like you get up, you go, it's exciting, you're on a mission, you're on an adventure, whatever it is, even if it's dangerous, it's exciting.
You have a problem to solve.
Yeah. It's not just a good thing. It's why we're here.
Yeah.
This is this thing people don't understand. It's like 50,000 years ago, the thing that makes us different, like we're slower than most other mammals, we're weaker than most other mammals. There's a bunch of weaknesses that Homo sapiens have, but because we can work together in groups, it gave us an unbelievable advantage. It's not just something that's good. Accomplishing goal, to me, the apex of humanity is men accomplishing goals with other people to achieve great heights, and that's skyscrapers or an entire economy or an F-35, whatever it is. But building something together with a group of people, this is the reason why we watch the Super Bowl every year. We are watching a group of men being led into victory, and then we cheer them on. And it's exciting even when it's teams we don't even care about.
Tribalism is a feature, not a bug of human nature. It's what we
But it is the purpose of our existence. I believe the thing we all miss is, like, if you're having trouble, if you accomplish a goal with a team, there's nothing to me that is more enriching than that.
Well, it's like even when men like are communicating, like what we're saying about the loneliness and the friendship kind of thing, when men are communicating, we communicate differently than women do. And when we are communicating at our best, it's not because we want to go to Starbucks to catch up with each other. Yeah. It's because we have a collective project to work on and we have a shared interest. So when we're talking about tribes, one of the first things I tell guys when they say, I don't have a network of guys, I don't know anybody to talk to, blah, blah, blah. I go, you probably do, you just don't realize it right now. So do you have like workout partners? Do you have a Bible study thing that you do? Do you like to go fish? Do you have, I don't know, chess club, whatever. Whatever you do, you probably do have a tribe. You just don't realize that you have that right there. And so what I tell guys is when they feel like they don't know how to relate, it's like find your tribes first. And then from there, like guys need a collective thing to do before they can actually communicate. So it's like I use this as an example, some of the best conversations I ever have with my brother. My brother like restores like classic muscle cars. when we're talking, he's like working on the car, and we're like there, just having a project to work on. That's when we communicate the best, because there's something for us, like a cooperative effort for us to actually talk about something, rather than the point of conversation for women is the conversation itself, because they take pleasure in the conversation, whereas guys, we've got to have something that we're doing.
And it's always find it interesting. Every time a guy goes, yeah, we need to talk, you got to talk about some shit. When a girl says we need to talk, it's always something that like she wants to tell you, and you just got to sit there and be like, oh.
Well, it's because women communicate covertly and men communicate overtly.
Men are very direct.
Well,
women aren't as exactly direct.
Men are information and content based in our conversations. Women tend to be context and feeling based. How did the conversation make them feel? As opposed to, for men, it's like, okay, where's the woolly mammoth? Where's the caribou? We need spears. We're gonna have to go to this. And if you look at cave paintings and stuff like that from the caveman days, those are just instructions that dudes say, hey, okay, guys of the future, this is how we killed the woolly mammoth, and here's how you can do it too.
Yeah.